Over on the far side of the track, we are now into the, or part of the BMC, the British Miners Club segment of the proceedings here at the BMC Record Breaker meeting in Belfast. Officially, there are 21 athletes in this, the women's 3,000 metre A race. I don't think it will end up being 21. I think a few people have had a look at the weather earlier today. Is that your dad patrolling in the foreground there? Meet director Mark Kirk in the all black. See, he's not wearing an umbrella or anything. This is the declared lineup, but we'll see just how many of those turn up. 7.5 laps of the track, and they've travelled far. We've got athletes from Australia, from mainland UK, as well as all parts of Northern and Southern Ireland.
It's also been paced by Grace Carson. She's planning on going through 75, 76. I'm not sure if that's been adjusted. Usually it's kind of athletes that will decide on the day, but I know that was probably the target pace that they were looking for. Interestingly, in this field, a couple of athletes, you know, this meet's really important because there's a lot of athletes who are going for under 20, under 23 times, and that's exactly what we're seeing here again. Emer McKee is of Willowfield Harriers. She's going for an EYOF standard, which is quite difficult, I'll be honest. I think she is hoping to run in the 920s or so, but if she could kind of run 935, I think that would be a good achievement. You'll see Emer, she's just kind of in the middle of picture there in the blue and white stripe of Willowfield Harriers, and looks like Grace Carson just getting ready to pace here.
Well, I think she was asking which side do you want me to go, and if I was answering that question, I would say go on the outside, because she's got no choice now but to shoot off the start line. There's plenty of laps to settle down, but if you come around the outside, you can come gradually, use the whole of the first bend and take people with you. She's the only one that is readily identifiable, because by tradition the pacemakers who are not going the full distance don't have a number on. So that's Grace Carson on the inside in the, what do we call that, like a Cambridge blue, duck egg green, what is that, Katie, that Pantone colour of her vest?
Mint green.
Crushed mint. So if she is able to stick to it, it's minty for sure. She needs to get to the front though, and that is the issue. If you're on the inside, she might have to do an excuse me here to just ease somebody out. I'm the pacemaker, let me through. 75, 76 gets them 9:30, 9:40. Look, she's having it. It's like the Harrods sales. Excuse me. I'm the pacemaker. May I pass? Thank you. So she should be around 37. And I think she's going to be. So one way and another. Don't go mad now, Grace. That's all right. It all works out fine. That was quite a cheerful little way of getting out of a jam there, wasn't it, by Grace Carson? 75, 76 the whole way gets 9:30.
She's a very cheerful girl, Jeff. So that's just Grace.
It's the 3,000 metre time for women is 9:25, and that correlates directly with what the pacemaking is being set out at. So any under 20 athletes in this lineup, and we've got more than 4, will need to go with the pacemaker if they're to get the qualifying time for the European Under 20 Championships at Tampere in Finland in August. There's still time. The selection meeting for Great Britain and probably Ireland as well is late July, so there's still opportunities to do it. But you can see Grace Carson just stringing them out now, almost gone to single file. A lead group perhaps just starting to identify itself a little bit. 173 is Avril Millerick. 171 directly behind the leader is Aoife McGreevy. And 169 alongside her in the quartered colours is Rocia Roberts of that Canda club that we were talking about, the relatively new club based here at the Mary Peters Stadium. So 2 laps should be around about, 2:30 pace when they go through the start line this time around. And I think she's right on it at the moment.
Yeah, I would trust Grace's pacing. I will say there's quite a lot of girls who train together who are all in this little starting group. So right behind Grace there is Zoe Toland. She's of Australia, but as Jeff and I were talking before, she's recently moved to Northern Ireland, so she's now running for Candor and training with my dad's training group. I try not to mention it too much when I'm commentating, but she's stuck to Grace like glue there. for the last kind of month or so that she's been based in Northern Ireland, she's been training with Grace, and she'll be very used to running behind her in these races. But it almost looks like Zoe Toland really wants to kind of push on past Grace. Maybe she's feeling really good here today. She's actually, a very decent 1500 meter runner as well, and probably will have ambitions of running exactly that target pace of kind of 9:25. But right behind her there is Cheryl Nolan. She was, I think, third in the women's 1500 in this event last year, and Hannah Gilliland of Annandale Striders also was within that group, along with Avril Millick and Rosha Roberts, also of Candor Track Club, who's just actually probably got a little bit of a gap there that she needs to close, along with Emer McKee and Aoife McGreevy. So lots of the girls are trying to pack quite tightly here. A lot of, I think there's like 5 or 6 of them that maybe train together here at the Mary Peters track, so they're well used to running together. But Emer McKee of Willowfield, she's one of the younger athletes who's looking for those qualifying times for the EYOF and the Euro under-20s. Ireland actually have B standards for those European under-20s, which is target for Emer for that is 9:35. You need 2 of those to kind of be considered for selection, but definitely within her capabilities if she can try and get back on to Rosha Roberts of Candor there.
Well, that was a nice bit of pacemaking, well beyond a kilometre. In fact, directly beyond the 1200 metre point by Grace Carson. It set things up very well, and there looks to be a group of 6 now starting to get away. Our new leader is Rosha Roberts, 9:37 at the Irish miler meet here just back in May. And I think a lot of the athletes that we're going to be seeing in action in the British Milers Club event, it is rematches from things like Irish universities, but especially that Irish miler meeting that took place here, because it has such a good reputation for quick times.
Yeah, lots of athletes want to travel to here now. I think it's great that it has the reputation, and particularly that has been built by that Belfast IMC meet, who has been really leading the way for the last 10 years at trying to revive the athletics international and I suppose competition athletics scene here in Northern Ireland. I think that, so that's Zoe Toland from Candor Track Club that is just sitting behind the leader at this point. I'm not 100% certain who that is in the lead, but I'll try and work it out, and we will get back to you on that one. Pacemaker, of course, is out of the way now, coming through there in 5 minutes. So they're still kind of keeping on pace, but the pace maybe dropped a little bit now. Jeff, what do you think?
Well, the fact that they've bunched up suggests that perhaps it has, but they do appear to be going away from the rest of the field. So I have 169 down as Rosha Roberts. Are you saying that's not her in the black and yellow?
No.
Right.
That is not. Rosha is 170, who's at the back of that group. We can just see her out of picture at the moment. And then moving into the lead at the moment now, that's Zoe Toland, also of Candor Track Club and Australia, running her first race in Northern Ireland or Ireland since her move here last month or 2 months ago. So great to see her running well, but it looks like Zoe Toland decided that she doesn't want to hang around anymore. She's going to take it on and push on through, and it looks like they're going to be taking Cheryl Nolan and Hannah Gilliland of Annandale Striders with them, with Avril Millick and Rosha Roberts of Candor Track Club maybe drifting off a little bit. They maybe just haven't covered this move. Maybe see them bunch up again as they enter kind of the final stages of the race.
Well, the athlete in the lead now, Zoe Toland, who is settled in Northern Ireland from Australia. Her last race was in Sydney, where she ran 9:17. She's moving closer to that as a projected finishing time. She has been 5th in the Australian National Championship, so a high-quality athlete. It's taken it down to 4, it appears to be, as they come round approaching the 7-minute point with just over 2 laps to go. Inside the final kilometre, working hard. 165 at the back of that group, Kelly Breen. Got a best of 10:15, so there's going to be a whole hatful of personal bests, especially if this pace can be maintained over these last couple of laps.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that was the target of today. They really wanted to have a race that was set up with lots of women running around the same time. And that seems to be exactly what's happened. I would say Zoe Toland, unfortunately, whenever you're taking the lead on this early in a 3K race, unless you are significantly better than the rest. It sometimes can mean you're there for the taking, and the other girls just sitting in. But as we say, there's maybe no real negative to taking on the lead today, especially if you're going after a personal best or something like that. There is not much wind. If you're comfortable taking the lead, it does look like Cheryl Nolan of St Albans AC is also busting to sort of get round and try and move this race along there as well. So it's still 4 athletes. Zoe Toland, I'm still not sure who the athlete in second is, my apologies. Cheryl Nolan and Hannah Gilliland of Annandale Striders.
Cheryl Nolan with bib number 172 is an athlete who's very consistent around the 9:20 range on the roads and at cross country and on the track. We'll find out at the bell if that sort of time is in prospect for all of them. But the long-term leader is still the Australian, Zoe Toland, settled now in Northern Ireland, trains at this track, probably used to these conditions, and they're not that bad for distance runners. They were a little bit tricky for those doing the sprints. 8:09 at the bell, so it could be what it says on the tin, a record breaker meeting here in Belfast. This is our first British Milers Club event. The gaps are opening up, but the leader remains the same, the Australian, Zoe Toland. Last time on the track was probably somewhere warmer than this in Sydney. And who do we think that athlete is who's now moving to the lead? Because
I've worked it out.
Go on.
It's Grace Richardson.
Who should be wearing 168.
So yeah, that's Grace Richardson
this is
of
her
Kilkenny City Hires.
First 3,000 of the year for her. She's a 16:11 5,000 metre running, but it's not run or won just yet. Richardson against Toland with 150 to go. Good times are in offing here. We're not quite on the 9-minute barrier, and they're into the home straight. So having led for all that way, Toland, has she got the response? Yes, she has. Wobbling a little bit out in lane 2. And that was a surprise. It looked as though all of that leading was going to come to nothing, and she's going to be rewarded with the win and a 9:16 time, confirming that although it's raining, it's not that bad. Australia officially Northern Ireland by residency, but only what, for the last few months, Katie?
Yeah, only the last few months she's been based here. I believe she maybe has some family who are from this direction, and I'm not sure entirely what the reason for their move is. But yeah, Zoe Toland in her first race in her new chosen home country, or her place of residence, takes the win today in the women's 3,000 metres. And I also have to apologise that I did not recognise Gracie Richardson. She's actually an old family friend of ours, but I didn't think she was racing today, and I sort of thought she was. I didn't realise she was racing. She also won the women's mini marathon in Dublin last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, which is a really great race her family always partake in. So I sort of thought maybe she wouldn't be doing this today. So sorry, Gracie, if you're watching this back, that I didn't recognise you. I didn't realise you were racing today and coming down. Her mum Neve will be very disappointed in me that I was unsure as to who she was, but I think the numbers were confusing us slightly. We had different numbers to what the athletes were wearing, but we got there in the end.
It's about the worst scenario possible, isn't it? We've got a bib number that corresponds to somebody, and it's somebody else that's been given it. I will forgive the declarations team in these conditions because the numbers may be sticking together in the wet. But yeah, we had 2 runners there with bibs other than on the start list. But great racing. It bodes well. I think the rain has picked up a little bit again. They're just recovering the high jump mat with that field event due to get underway in the men's competition in the next 30 minutes or so. But for distance racing, it's fine. Once you're wet, and it is very still and it's mild.